Spain has undergone multiple political transformations, including the Kingdom of Spain before 1931 and since 1975, the Second Republic from 1931 to 1939, the Franco dictatorship from 1939 to 1975, and the return to a constitutional monarchy from 1975 to present. Below is a list of heads of state, monarchs, presidents, and dictators, and prime ministers who hold executive power. Alfonso XII from 1874 to 1885. He restored monarchy after the First Republic. Alfonso XIII from 1886 to 1931. He was the last king before the Second Republic. He went into exile in 1931. Niceto Alcala Zamora was the first president of the Republic from 1931 to 1936. Manuel Lozana led during the Spanish Civil War from 1936 to 1939. He later fled Spain after Franco's victory. Francisco Franco ruled from 1939 to 1975 as an authoritarian dictator after winning the Spanish Civil War. He designated Juan Carlos I as a successor. Juan Carlos I from 1975 to 2014. He oversaw Spain's transition to democracy. Felipe VI is the current king from 2014. He focuses on diplomacy and modernization. Antonio Cánovas del Castillo ruled from 1874 to 1875, then from 1875 to 1879, then from 1879 to 1881, then from 1884 to 1885, then from 1890 to 1892, and from 1895 to 1897. He played a key role in drafting the Spanish Constitution of 1876, which established a constitutional monarchy. Praxedes Mateo Sagasta ruled from 1871 to 1872, then in 1874, then from 1881 to 1883, then from 1885 to 1890, then from 1892 to 1895, then from 1897 to 1899, and from 1901 to 1902, he alternated in power with Cánovas, contributing to Spain's political stability through the Turno Pacifico system. Joaquin Jubler served in 1875. He was a military leader who briefly served as prime minister during the early years of the Restoration. Arsenio Martínez Campos served in 1879. He is known for his role in the restoration of the Bourbon monarchy. His term as prime minister was short-lived. José Posada Herrera ruled from 1883 to 1884. His tenure focused on administrative reforms and efforts to stabilize the economy. Marcelo Azcárraga Palmero ruled in 1897, 1900, and 1904. He was a military officer who served briefly as prime minister on 3 occasions during periods of political transition. Francisco Silvila served from 1899 to 1900, and from 1902 to 1903. He sought to modernize Spain's institutions and address the aftermath of the Spanish-American War. Raimundo Fernández Villaverde served from 1903 to 1904. His administration focused on financial reforms and efforts to balance the national budget. Eugenio Montero Rios served in 1905. He was a jurist who briefly led the government, known for his contributions to Spanish law. Segismundo Moret served from 1905 to 1906 and from 1909 to 1910. His terms were marked by social reforms and attempts to address labor unrest. José Canalejas ruled from 1910 to 1912. He was a reformist leader whose tenure was cut short by assassination. He sought to implement progressive policies. Álvaro Figueroa. Count of Roman ones ruled in 1912, then from 1915 to 1917, and from 1918 to 1919. He was a liberal politician who served multiple terms, focusing on social and economic reforms. Eduardo Dato ruled from 1913 to 1915, and in 1917, and from 1920 to 1921. He was a conservative leader whose efforts to maintain neutrality during World War I were notable. He was later assassinated in 1921. Manuel Garcia Prieto, who ruled in 1917, then from 1917 to 1918, and from 1922 to 1923. His leadership was characterized by attempts to navigate political instability and implement reforms. Antonio Mora served from 1903 to 1904, then from 1907 to 1909, then in 1918, 1919, and from 1921 to 1922. He was a conservative statesman known for his efforts to modernize Spain and address social issues. José Sánchez Guerra took over from 1922 to 1923. His term was marked by efforts to combat corruption and address political unrest. Miguel Primo de Rivera served from 1923 to 1930. He led a military coup and established a dictatorship, aiming to restore order and implement infrastructural projects. Nicito Alcalá Zamora ruled in the year 1931. He was a provisional prime minister who later became president of the Republic. Manuel Lozana served from 1931 to 1933, and in 1936, he was a leading figure of the Republic. He implemented significant reforms and later served as president. Alejandro Lerix served from 1933 to 1935. He was a leader of the Radical Republican Party. His tenure faced economic challenges and political polarization. Francisco Largo Caballero ruled from 1936 to 1937. He is a socialist leader who headed the government during the early years of the Spanish Civil War. Juan Negrin ruled from 1937 to 1939. His government continued the Republican struggle during the latter part of the Civil War. Francisco Franco took over from 1939 to 1975. He ruled Spain as a dictator following the nationalist victory in the Civil War, maintaining an authoritarian regime until his death. Carlos Arias Navarro took over from 1973 to 1976. He was initially appointed by Franco. He continued as prime minister after Franco's death, overseeing the beginning of the transition to democracy. Adolfo Suarez took over from 1976 to 1981. He was appointed by King Juan Carlos I. Suarez played a crucial role in Spain's transition to democracy, leading to the approval of the 1978 Constitution. Leopoldo Calvo Sotelo then ruled from 1981 to 1982. His tenure was marked by Spain's entry into NATO and efforts to stabilize the young democracy. Felipe González took over from 1982 to 1996. He was Spain's longest-serving prime minister since the return to democracy. He oversaw economic modernization, EU accession in 1986, and labor and welfare reforms. José María Aznar served from 1996 to 2004. He focused on economic liberalization, privatization, and reducing unemployment, and he oversaw Spain's adoption of the euro in 1999. José Luis Rodríguez Zapatero ruled from 2004 to 2011. He introduced progressive social reforms, including legalizing same-sex marriage, and managed Spain through the 2008 financial crisis, implementing austerity measures. Mariano Rajoy ruled from 2011 to 2018. He focused on economic recovery after the financial crisis and implemented austerity measures and labor market reforms. His government fell due to corruption scandals in 2018. Pedro Sanchez took over as the current prime minister from 2018. He took office after a no-confidence motion against Rajoy. He managed Spain's response to the COVID-19 pandemic and implemented progressive policies on labor rights and gender equality.